And good morning, everybody, on a Tuesday for another morning coffee with Marcaida. Same old story. Stories. Who doesn't love a story? Early this morning, I had a chance to talk to an old colleague, somebody that I got to train with, and my gosh, 30 years later, here we are. And this colleague of mine, we had so much catching up to do and stories to tell. We always revert to what was a common ground. We were both classmates with the same instructor in the same martial arts that we did, Filipino martial arts. And I got to train with him when I was in the Philippines. So just like everything else, going back to the time with the common thing that we're talking about martial arts, politics again come up. You know, the stories, all these stories of what our teachers told us. Because 30 years later, we're a bit different. We think differently, and we figured a lot of things. And some of the fun stuff was, remember the things that our teacher told us? It was all bullcrap, wasn't it? And we laughed about it, or not really, because from his point of view, it was like, gosh, we're so gullible. All these different things they told us in 30 years later, because media now is very hard to get away with just telling stories. And especially when you have a way to back it up, there's a way to research this and find out that these possibly were not true. But the way I looked at it in my evolution was, but let it be for what it was, and let it, if anything, something to think about and have fun with and laugh about it. Because some of them, it's how you take information and how you actually react to it is what matters. Remember, everything we do is based on our control. So it was interesting to find that some would take the information and be very angry about it. Why? Those stories were terrible. They're not true, or they can't be founded, or you really can't prove it. Whereas I took it as that was funny. There's very interesting that somebody would come up with such stories as that. And in the end, is it real or isn't real? I think it's a matter of how you put it. But what it did for me, at least, was it created a spark. A spark maybe go, is it real or is it not? Can it be found or not? Doesn't matter. The story in itself gave me the imagination of the possibilities of things. Coming up this week, on the next segment we did with Willie, you'll find out that, and this relates to it, how we found some stories from our teachers and information that will explain, will make you go, but is it real or not? Doesn't really matter. Because in the end, it's a matter of all of us have different ways of looking at things. For example, I'll take this box. That's what you see. I'm on the other side of this spectrum right here. That's what I see. It's the same box, but the way it's presented to us is going to be different. And we're going to have our own truths. It's going to be different because we have different experiences. Same box. Could be the same story. And how we look at that is going to be our own personal take on what I'm going to do with it. So in many ways, what I take is to agree to disagree if I don't believe in it. But it doesn't bother me, and so should not bother you. Information given to you and stories should be just that. Remember when we were a kid and they used to read to us all these stories? We just sit there and listen and marvel at that and take it for what it is. No kid will go, nah, that's not the way it is. No, because we're just enjoying that. How about the fact that if you go to a movie, a science fiction movie, a Marvel comic movie, or anything else, if you go in there saying, that's impossible, that'll never happen, you're in the wrong movie. You need to go there and just put yourself, and here's your fantasy, this is what it is. There's no, it shouldn't be something that makes sense because you're there for the experience of it. And that's the way I look at different things when I look back in my time and listen to these stories that everybody tells. Somebody has their own truth. When you meet with them and talk with them and they tell you their story or whatever that truth is, it could be we are talking about the same thing, same cup, different sides, and that's okay. Don't let it upset you because you don't have to take it or leave it. It's like, look, I don't want to see this all the time. I like this. But the fact that you see this, good for you. I'm happy that I'll always see this because this is what I'm happy with. But one day I'm going to turn it around and I hope you see my point of view and I will look at your point of view and I'm going to take it or leave it. If I like this, I'm going to enjoy it. If I don't, I'm going to be amused that you enjoy it. Doesn't mean that I have to accept it. And I'll agree or disagree that this is your story and that's yours. Enjoy it. I've got mine. Because in the end, in due time, our stories will be left behind when we leave this world. So who cares? Why get upset about it? There's a story to tell. We just leave it behind. And that's what it is. Take it for what it is. Some of these, though, the thing that I enjoyed about were the inspirations that sparked ideas. Because you see, even if I don't believe, or even if I don't accept your story, you've sparked an idea in my head that either one, proves what I know to be more in the truth that I want, or two, gives me rational, logical thinkings to challenge what you're saying. But you see, all that wouldn't happen if you didn't have a story to challenge my story, if we're not telling the same story to begin with. So for that, I thank you. Whether I like it or not doesn't matter. The idea that we have this great exchange and it sparked an idea and got me thinking is what matters and what I got to enjoy. Because without your story to tell, it for me to listen to, I have nothing to logically think about. Either I'll take it or not, does not matter. I just want to make sure that whatever the stories are, I'll enjoy it for what it is. And if I like it, good. If I don't need it, bad. If it's information we can exchange, even better. But at least I'm not going to let it ruin my day, because that's what I see when we're talking about politics and all these other things in the martial art world, or who's better, he said, she said. Doesn't matter, because they can say they're the best, because this is a conversation we have about the martial arts world. So I'll relate it to you through that. Oh, they think their techniques is better. It doesn't, like, it's all hearsay. What matters is what I can do. What matters are the people I'm training, what we're doing. All these hula baloo and all those words doesn't matter. What matters is what you're doing with that. Now, what they're challenging that we're doing, or they're challenging each other, makes you think. Now, let's say, but we got to make sure we can back it up. Thank you for your story. Thank you for questioning us, because now you've inspired a spark for us to make sure we can back up what we're doing and what we're enjoying. And that's it from a martial point of view. So should everything you take with a grain of salt, because in the end we all have our own truths, because everything is about what we view from our point of view. So no need to be upset with other ideas when all these politics works. It's fun. And if anything, it should be amusing. My point of view of going back to old stories we were talking about and our exchanging was, whether right or wrong, it was something that we enjoyed, and I find it today to be very amusing. All right, Doug Marcaida here. Morning Cup of Joe. And here's another story. Halloween's coming up. Take care.